person that I will serve and worship. Krishna, in the last couple of verses beforehand, informed Lakshmi that just worship me, for I am the Supreme Lord. If you worship me, certainly you will get the benediction you desire. On hearing the order of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lakshmi immediately worshipped him, offering sandalwood pulp and flowers for his body, garlanded him with malika flowers, and offering prayers to the Lord. Being worshipped by Lakshmi, the Lord began to smile. He recited a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam and thus accepted the emotion she expressed. And this is the verse today that is from the Bhagavatam, accepting that emotion. It refers to the Vastra Harana pastime. The Vastra means dress, Harana, stealing the garments. Krishna understood the desire of the gopis. The gopis performed 1 month tapasya, austerity, living on havishyam. It's very thin, like gruel. It's boiled water with some mung dal and rice in it. No spices. It'll keep you alive. If you're sick, you often take that. It's like dal water, the water that dal is being cooked in. So it's nourishing, but it doesn't tax, it doesn't burden the system. So they took this as a form of austerity, and they would worship Goddess Durga, Goddess Katyayani, and part of that worship was they would express prayers and desires within that worship. So the gopis' desire, the main prayer was, please give me Krishna as my husband. So Krishna is expressing here the response after engaging in that Vastraharana pastime. The Vastraharana pastime, the gopis, Krishna understood their mood. The ladies, they bathe in India in the river as often as possible. And when they go to bathe in the river, they have a place where they're separated, where men are not allowed. Because the gopis, the ladies, they will bathe completely naked. So, and they're confident because the prying eyes are excluded from that area. So they were confident that the young gopis, they removed their clothes, put them on the banks of the Jamuna and took bath. And Krishna, he happened to be in the area with his friends, so he came and he understood what was going on. He immediately came and he collected up all of their garments, climbed up into a big tree, and then offered joking words to them, saying that I got them when I read them. The start of the joking words, but the gist of the joke was that now you should come and get your clothes back from me, but you should all appear as you are, appear naked before me. And foolish people, they will criticise this, saying that the Lord is just engaged in erotic, lusty pastimes. But the real purpose of Krishna teasing the girls like that was that a woman cannot appear naked except before her husband. So by them the gopis accepting that proposal and coming before Krishna, they were bashful, they were trying to cover themselves. Krishna then, he enticed them, he encouraged them, no, come and get your clothes. They had submitted to his wishes, they had acted as his wives. And being very shy, Krishna, the exchange of emotions was very nice. They were bashful, they were shy, and then even though they were shy and maybe upset because Krishna was joking with them, they felt pleasure, they felt joy, because here was a situation where Krishna was acting out as the husband. They were trying to cover up their nudity, holding their hands over their pubic area and their long hair over the rest of the body. Krishna said, no, because of the situation now, you've committed offence to Varunadev. So you should come and you should put your hand in pranams and pay obeisances here on the bank of the... So they just, shy, young, innocent girls, accepting his proposal, immediately responded like that. And Krishna was very happy with their submission, their reciprocation with him in a loving way. And then he told them, this is the verse, I understand the reason, what you were meditating on, what was your desire. So by enacting this pastime, I'm fulfilling that desire. And in the future, he says that in the future, this is a part of the past. In the future, we will be able to we'll be able to deepen that relationship, husband and wife. So he's indicating in the future they'll be able to get together to perform the Adi-lila. So the next verse says, after thus expressing their feelings to one another, Lord Chaitanya and Lakshmi returned home. Who can understand the grave pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, they're non-different. In preparing for this class, I looked at another area of the Chaitanya Charitamrita which describes the internal reason why Lord Chaitanya appeared. External reason to establish the Sankirtan movement, to spread the chanting of the holy names. But the internal reason is to understand the mood that Srimati Radharani has. And there is a lovely series of verses comparing what Krishna understands. This is actually one of the primary verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, text number 6, which reads, desiring to understand the glory of Srimati Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Sachidevi as the moon appeared from the ocean. Exchange of emotions, rasas, that's what constitutes the relationship. The relationship is not, there's the externals, but that's the internal thing, the development of a relationship. And Krishna says, further on, Krishna contemplates on Radha's experience of pleasure. Everyone says that I am complete bliss, full of all rasas. The whole world derives pleasure from me, but who can give me pleasure? Only one who has 100 times more qualities than me, that is Radharani alone, can give pleasure to my mind. Krishna is known as Atmarama, one who is fully satisfied, self-satisfied. But still, he wants to enjoy. It's the nature of Krishna and the nature of all living entities. Ananda Moya Vyasat, they want to seek pleasure. So Krishna being self-satisfied, still he can enhance that pleasure. All the living entities, we have different relationships with Krishna. So when we're not active, when we're not connected with Krishna, then Krishna feels that lack of reciprocation. And the different gopis, they all have different moods and they bring out a different response from Krishna. There's 16,108 wives and the millions of gopis. So with each individual, there's a variety of relationships there. But Radharani, she's the only one who can give the full satisfaction. So here's the contradictions in Radha and Krishna's attraction for each other. Although Krishna captivates the 5 senses of the world, he says, my beauty defeats the beauty of 10 million Kupas, is unsurpassed, and gives pleasure to the 3 worlds. 5 senses, sight. The vibration of my flute attracts all 3 worlds, sound. Smell. My body lends fragrance to the entire creation. Taste. The entire creation is full of different tastes because of me. and touch. My touch is cooler than 10 million moons. Still, Radharani captivates the five senses of Krishna. Sight. Seeing Radharani gives pleasure to my eyes. My ears are enchanted by Radharani's sweet words. The scent of Radharani's limbs captivates my mind and heart. I'm charmed by the nectarian taste of Radharani's lips. I'm refreshed by Radhika's touch. Here's a contradiction. Although I am the source of happiness for the entire world, the beauty and attributes of Sri Radhika are my life and soul. On analysing my feelings for Radharani, I find them contradictory. And yet, Radharani's five senses are captivated by Krishna, and she experiences more pleasure than Krishna. He's satisfying the whole world, Radharani satisfies him. But then Radharani, she experiences more satisfaction than Krishna. She's the topmost servitor, Radhanan, and in many ways she can control Krishna. So, sight. By looking upon me, she is more satisfied than when I look upon her. By hearing the sound of bamboos rubbing against one another, she considers it to be the sound of my flute. By the breeze that carries the fragrance of my body, she is blinded by love and tries to fly into that breeze. By tasting the betel chewed by me, she merges in an ocean of joy. By embracing a tamal tree, considering it to be me, she feels perfect. This is a series of contemplations and contradictions about the interaction between Krishna and his Ladini Shakti, his pleasure potency. That Krishna has unlimited potencies, Prasya Shakti Vivadhaiva Shruyate. One of those potencies is Ladini Shakti. So it's not that potency is not part of the material world. There are the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Then the three spiritual modes, they're considered to be counterparts: Ladini, Samvit, and Sandini Shakti, different potencies that correspond. But in the spiritual realm is completely different from the material realm. In the material realm, our senses, we contact the objects of the senses and we become attracted, we become allured, and then lust develops. And if lust is not satisfied, then frustration, anger, and then greed. There's a pathway, and those are the pathways leading to hell. So those are the elements, those are the energies that control us in the living entities in the material world. In the spiritual world, they don't exist. The time is conspicuous by its absence. So these pastimes, it's not recommended that we dwell on these pastimes. These are not our main focus in studying the scriptures, in learning about the pastimes of Krishna. We can hear about them, but they're just interesting to know. They're not the main thing, because we're still stuck in the bodily concept of life. We're still affected by the lust, the greed, and the anger, the desire for sense enjoyment. In that whole section, the interaction between Krishna's girlfriends and Krishna, there's no presence of lust. It's free from lust. Just like even not at that level of Goloka Vrindavan, in the level of Vaikuntha, the residents there, Vaikuntha, even the demigods, they're travelling around in airplanes, the male and the female, the husband and the wife, and they see the pastimes, but they don't become attracted in a material sense gratification mood. In the heavenly planets, living entities there, they stay for 10,000 years, and they're wearing a garland. In the last year of their life, the garland starts to wilt. Everything's remaining perfect. They don't need any adjustment. And also, their interrelationships, the men and the women, a child becomes the product of that in the last year of their life. prior to that time, then that wasn't part of the business in that situation, the demigods and the demigodesses. So in Vaikuntha, they're just fully absorbed. You're in Vaikuntha because you don't have any material desires now. You're purely absorbed in trying to please Krishna and Krishna senses in different ways. And this pastime of Krishna accepting the gopis, that's an example of that. And there's different elements which are misinterpreted. Foolish rascals, not knowing the purpose of the Lord or the purpose of the gopis, unnecessarily criticise from their own angle of vision. So we can't understand because we're contaminated. And until we become free from the bodily concept of life, not just free from the bodily concept of life, but free from those contaminations of lust, greed and anger, then anything that we look at, we will be affected, will be influenced. The sex attraction is the shackles which keeps us here in the material world. And it's used very much by advertisers now. If you want to sell something, then you put a beautiful woman across the bonnet of the car, or even though I was at a benign health food shop, and they're selling things called nude herbs. They're just using, very graphic descriptions and like that to allure, because that's what we're attracted to. We like the deity. We spend time with the deity because we have a bodily concept. So Krishna appears in this form in order to satisfy, so we can get some connection with where we're at. But that sex desire, it's kama esha, krodha esha, rajaguna samudbhava. It's our original love in contact with the mode of passion, which later becomes transformed into lust. And it's the all-devouring sinful enemy of mankind. So by acting in Krishna consciousness, the goal is not to try and artificially enter into the pastimes of Krishna, but to become purified, to engage in austerities. There's another verse from the 5th canto. Nayam deha deham bhajam riloke kastan kaham tam vidbhujam ye. Tapo divyam putraka yena satyavyam sudyed yasmad brahma sokyam tanantyam. Those who are embodied, and especially in the human form of life, they are not supposed to be engaging in sense gratification, which is available for the hogs and the dogs who eat stool. That's not the goal of human life. Is to perform austerity, and so that one can purify one's existence and one can enjoy spiritual pleasure of an unlimited tvanantyam, unlimited nature. And that spiritual pleasure is there on the spiritual platform, hearing about Krishna, serving Krishna, tasting Krishna prasadam. It's a different quality of pleasure. The modes are always vying for competition, vying for supremacy. We're always allured, attracted back into the material world. We have to get a taste from the spiritual world, for spiritual activity, spiritual hearing and chanting, in order to insulate us from the influence of the material world. So that's how we take these activities, these pastimes, and ultimately to understand how glorious Lord Chaitanya is. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nanda, they came and they chanted and they danced. They broke open the treasure of love of Godhead and they freely distributed it to everyone. Apart from their mercy, apart from the mercy of the Krishna consciousness movement, apart from the mercy of Prabhupada, then we would be like everybody else. There, but by the grace of God go you or I. Everybody who is just enamoured by the material energy. It's very flickering life in the material world. Pleasure and then pain, happiness and then distress. They go hand in hand. You can't avoid them. So we're fortunate, very fortunate. Korna Bhagavana Jeev. We're considered very fortunate souls. We've been able to come in contact with Krishna consciousness. We've been able to take it up. We've been able to try and advance and try and avoid falling back. It's a rare soul who can make that journey. But with the association of strong devotees and sticking rigidly to a sadhana, Raghunath Das Goswami, his sadhana was described to be like etched in stone, paying obeisances to 2,000 devotees a day, reciting Srimad Bhagavatam for 3 hours in the association of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. different elements of our life, they should become our saving grace, our foundation. And when we stick to those things, then in the long run, ultimately, work now, samadhi later. Ultimately, we hear about this reward. It's said that if you hear about these pastimes, you can get the benefit of actually being there. There's the gopis who are engaged in the Adi-lila. They're engaging in that pastime. Those who hear about that pastime, they're also getting the same benefit. On the altar, the pujari is offering various items to the deities. By standing and observing that activity, we're getting the same benefit. We don't have to push our way up there and try and touch the deity. Just by observing, just by witnessing, by being a part of those pastimes, we're getting the same benefit. So by being involved in Krishna consciousness in some way or another, somehow or other, in some small way, diverting our attention from sense gratification to self-realization, then ultimately these statements are that you'll get liberation. When? That's up to Krishna. We can't force Krishna's hands. He's completely independent. When and where he wishes. We just have to get a taste of the activities of Krishna consciousness. We were travelling around Govardhana Hill. We stopped off at one ashram. One ISKCON sannyasi was there. And he told us, as you're going around in Vrindavan, in the holy places, take advantage of all the holy places. Bathe in as many kunds as possible. Because you never know which one is going to awaken that love of God. And when and how, and just take advantage of the process of Krishna consciousness. Don't ignore it. It will be tough sometimes. It will be impossible sometimes, but never give it up. Get a strong foundation, and that's the way that we're going to be able to really appreciate Krishna in the topmost sense. So I'm just going to finish here and ask if there's any questions. Any comments, Prabhu? We'll just get the microphone.
I wonder if you could give some instructions or deepen a little bit about the how to deal with these intimate pastimes of Lord Krishna that can, potentially awaken unhealthy feelings and sentiments and lust and these kind of things. How to deal with them. Also regarding our advancement in our spiritual life. It's a personal question because I've seen that over the years that what it awakens in me differs according to what stage I'm at. So if you could give some practical instructions.
Sure, Prabhupada, he was talking about lust, and he said the only way to overcome Mr. Lust is to worship Radha and Krishna. So we have to deal with our lust. We have to understand what it is, where it's coming from. My friend, he said, I have exemplary lust. My lust is the best, the most. And lust is, and he was using his tongue to indicate that his tongue is very lusty. So there's a straight line between the tongue, the belly, and the genitals. If the tongue is out of control, then the belly will get stuffed, and will put pressure on the genitals. So the first thing we should do is we should try and control our tongue. Just take Krishna Prasadam in the right amounts, at the right time, in the right association. Then that will help to prevent that chain of events from taking place. That's practically, physically, mentally, hearing. As you said, different stages in when you've approached or you've been in contact with, then different response. So we have to deepen our understanding of what is Radha and Krishna worship, what is Radha and Krishna love, what is the relationship, and how it is pure and sublime. Because that's the original Adi Ras, that's the original taste, the attraction between male and female. So Krishna is the supreme male, and we're all feminine compared to that. He's the Purusha and we're the Prakriti. We're to be enjoyed. So rather than trying to usurp his position, we should always offer and appreciate Krishna's creation, Krishna's majesty, Krishna's beauty, and the beauty of everything here. But it's not for our pleasure. Well, this is another indication of how beautiful, how amazing Krishna is. And we should understand that we can't enjoy separately from Krishna. We can take those wonderful things. We want to enjoy nice food stuff, but we prepare them lovingly for Krishna, and then we offer to him. And then we share with others. And if there's any remnants remaining, then we can honour and appreciate that, oh, Krishna accepted my offering. So it's a matter of taking, understanding, and knowing how to deal with that aspect of Krishna's energy. You got any other tips from your experience?
The only thing I remember many years ago, I read part of the, Chaitanya Charitamrita, where some of the intimate pastimes between Radha and Krishna and the gopis were explained, that I could feel a lot of, really heavy lust in me. But then after, now we're studying the 10th canto again, it's maybe 40 years later, and then I could see that it was not the same feelings that was coming up. Something has changed. And but I haven't gone into that pastimes over these years. I've been staying safely away from them.
It's enough. It's enough just to be conscious of it. We don't, until we feel free from those lusty propensities and from the bodily concept, then it's not a subject matter. We're much better dealing with the creation and the modes of material nature and other preliminary subjects. And hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, there's that Srinvatam Swakata Krishna, that series of verses by regular attendance in the classes on Bhagavatam. Then all that is troublesome to the heart will practically be reduced to nil. And by rendering service to the pure devotee, then modes of passion and ignorance will be reduced, and then mode of goodness will be and eventually that Hridaya Granthis, that knot within the heart, will be cut. And then because the modes are no longer affecting us, we have to understand how we can work with the modes, not under the modes, and foster and cultivate the mode of goodness. So a hearing, in a responsible way, we avoid things which we know have got an element which are too contradictory, too much beyond our comprehension at this stage, and deal in areas where we can understand. We don't necessarily shy away from it. We don't tolerate the rascals who are commenting on it, saying that Krishna's such and such, such and such. We can't really convince them, because they've had that experience. That's the only way they can see. But we can offer them in another area. Don't contemplate those things. Come along, take some prasadam, associate with devotees, see the beauty of Krishna. That's enough to appreciate. Don't bother your mind with these other things. And the Grihastha ashram is recommended for those people who have trouble controlling their senses, and then they get the proper support of a healthy Krishna-conscious wife who acts like the guardian of the fortress. It's a regulation process, just to regulate the senses, regulate the mind, do things in a responsible way, rather than becoming like an unruly mad elephant.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, thank you very much, Prabhus. Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ki Jai. Gaura Paranam.